Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Fantastic Four Issue 8, 2022. That's a definitely crazy-ass looking cover. The Case of the Mystery Menace. Ugh. And this was actually pretty interesting. We kind of get, touch base with the Fantastic Four and what they're kind of doing, and Sue and Alicia are the ones that pretty much headline this one, which is kind of cool. So we kind of start off and we see that Sue and Johnny are experimenting with their powers, and this is actually kind of a cool thing. Sue's pretty much narrating this one, calling it the Fantastic Farmhouse, and how Ben finds that pretty cheesy. The Clobbering Time guy says, my idea is cheesy, that's a revolt in development. But they're pretty much trying to do a scatoid, and then trying to like make it match hers, trying to utilize their powers in kind of different ways. And then Johnny's like, this shape wasn't even invented until 2018. Actually, it wasn't described until then, but this well-defined cross between a frostum and a prismatoid is found in nature, particularly when epithelial cells pack themselves together in a 3D space. Thanks, Reed. That makes building this stupid shape out of stupid fire so much easier. Like, yes. Oh, God. And Johnny's just like, dang it, we're the Fantastic Four, not that C- needs work, see me after class 4. Never hurts to practice. And you two do kind of tend to rely a bit on the tried and true. And it's kind of cool to be like, okay, let's kind of shake things up a little bit. And then Johnny's like, no, I don't. And then Alicia's like, throwing fireballs, juggling fireballs, flame cage. Flame number 4's in the skies. Am I forgetting anything, babe? Making a slightly hotter fire than usual and telling everyone it's a nova flame. Alright, that too. And then Sue's like, I do spheres and platforms. The two of us can manifest anything we can imagine. Should we be taking advantage of that? And it's like, yeah, exactly. And then Johnny's doing this stuff, and Ben's trying to see, he tosses some dirt to see if it's anywhere near Sue's. And, of course, talks of it being C-, needs work, see me after class. Dang it. And then, of course, Sue's like, all right, let's take a break and pick up some art supplies. Bunch of stuff for the house, and then Ben should stay and get that garden tilled before the rain comes, and says he wants snacks. Of course, Reed wants some like laboratory flasks and all that kind of stuff. Sue's like, I doubt they'll have that, but he then just starts listing off any kind of other thing that they can, and then we essentially just have Sue and Alicia shopping at pretty much like a kind of mall. It's like, oh, this is interesting. Even though malls have been on the decline and everything, it's interesting to see them kind of go through on this kind of thing, and just, yeah, it's kind of cool to have malls with all different kind of stores in them to go to. Even though you could probably find this stuff online if you're out in the middle of nowhere like them and trying to stay there for a bit and make sure that other kind of crazy shit doesn't happen, you kind of do need a place like a mall, so it's interesting to have that kind of thought process. And then, of course, Sue's talking about how she's paying for it and when their funds are unfrozen. Alicia's like, it's fine, I'm happy to do it. Family, remember? Speaking of, and then asks her how she's doing. She's doing good, gonna make this through it. Asks about her and Ben, which is great. It's little chit-chat that you don't really usually get a lot of when they're all together, and I kind of like them being separated out like this for this. And then that Ben loves it here if they had the kids in a New York pizzeria, which I get that this place would be paradise. And that Johnny's good, and he's got supreme confidence in us figuring everything out. Reed's working on it. He's not a guy who forgives himself easily, but he also likes a practical problem he can solve, and starting a new life in deep country Arizona certainly fits the bill. And then talking about how there's only one checkout open, which we then start to figure out isn't exactly... Like, Alicia, of course, is calling it small town living, baby, and has weird staffing problems, but it's kind of more to it than that. Asking if it's busy, that there's a lot of cashiers off, and it's like, nope, it's just her hubby, Mark, and her, and he's just around for bookkeeping. Introduces herself, saying that, asking if they're passing through, that they're Throll Grim Farm, and it just never bothered him before without the end of checkouts. It's like, yeah, nothing beats having no cashiers here, that's for sure. It's like, okay. And then they're pretty much going around the mall, and they're like, why the hell would that go on? And it's just kind of sticking in Sue's crawl, which is interesting because, like, why is it like that? Maybe, but this whole mall, this whole town feels half empty. I don't think she's gonna get them. Ben told me this place was bustling when he was a kid. I wonder where everyone went. And the thing is, granted, at first you could be like, oh, small town people move out, don't move in, that kind of thing. But we find out that there's more to it than that. They actually start asking people around after a certain kind of thing. Of course, they're getting art supplies. They have to get snacks and everything. Best I could do is the grocery store snack aisle. Back the way of the hardware store, so we're really doing this in the wrong order. It's like, yeah, I understand. That happens sometimes when you're shopping. You either go in a weird order that you should have gone in another place first, but it's like, alright, and then they go around and they see that the hardware store is closed for some reason. It's like, what the hell? And of course they start, like, asking, because it's like, they close at 11 a.m.? That doesn't make sense. And the dude's like, that store went bankrupt years ago. It's like, what's going on here? And that, why the hell would they be advertising deals on new products if they went out of business years ago? And these people are confused. They keep asking people, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then Alicia's like, alright, now I'm into this thing. Looking up all this stuff. Actually gets the dude on the phone. That they slid into a parallel universe about the Bernstein Bears and the Bernstein Bears. It's like, okay, that's kind of funny. And they talk to this dude. He's like, I don't have a wife. What the fuck are you talking about? Never met this Kathy person. It's like, what the hell? And everyone's like, got nothing to do with me. It's like, that's definitely him. That is really weird. And they're both like, I don't know what's going on here. So we shift back over. They have, like, looked her up. They actually did some digging, and nobody's heard of her. Kathy existed. She was real. We met her today, but apparently, all at the same time, everyone else on Earth has simply decided otherwise. The only clue we have is that we weren't affected. I keep a minor force field up at all times. That has to be what protected us from whatever this is. It's like, that's actually very smart that Sue does that all the time. It's like, it might be a hard thing when you first start doing it, but it's a very smart thing, especially with how their lives usually go. So they go in, see Johnny, and they're like, alright, we have a thing, we've got to find something going on, and they're like, oh, Johnny's like, oh, was I affected or anything? It's like, no, we need to find everything, we need to find this store lady, undo whatever's happened. We gotta find Reed and Ben and boot up the car, because they were going to use that to kind of figure out interference and all that. And Johnny's like, yeah, the Fantastic Four. Quick question, though. Who's Ben and who's Reed and Ben? It's like, what? Oh, and by the way, I really like the artwork and how it sells Johnny with his fucking mustache. Oh, it's so great. And then when he has that, the expressions on their faces is like, what? And then they're like, okay, they're gone? What the hell? And evidently, Alicia pulls up Reed and Ben, and he's like, I have no idea who they are. And then like, who's the Fantastic Four then? It's Sue, Johnny, Flamo, and Alicia. And Flamo is like a copy of Johnny, but made in flames, and he controls them so he can be in two places at once, angry and confusing our varied enemies. It's like, okay, that's interesting. And a definitely interesting use and callback to Johnny kind of doing this stuff in the beginning with his powers. It's like, okay. And Alicia's like, good job with Flamo. And Sue pretty much calls out that the others are rationalizing anything he can to make reality square with his new belief that Reed and Ben never existed. Right. But he's still him deep down. He's still your brother and help us out no matter what. He's on our side. Well, he's definitely still himself. So they decide to get that. They decide to go into town incognito. And then they see this kind of crazy. That is... Artwork's been on point here, man. And that's just a crazy thing as we see Kathy and all these people and Ben and Reed doing stuff with this. And Johnny's like, are those the guys we're looking for? Allie, Reed, and Ben, and Kathy, and like 50 other people are holding up a weird giant wood monster. What, like a Groot? Not quite. I actually have no idea what we're dealing with here. And I'm like, yeah, Sue, I get you there. So, what we've got is this thing then points out to somebody else, she'll do nicely. More servitors. And she does this kind of thing and it goes, woo, and takes her, and she's like, I don't know why I'm not lifting you right now, Mistress Zargar. I've spent my whole life serving you, my queen. Ha, of course you have. Join me. Join the mighty Zargar. It's like, okay, definitely interesting name, and definitely kind of fits with a kind of kooky Fantastic Four kind of style thing going on. We're safe, but I bet the farm everyone else on Earth just forgot that one existed. I know what to do when I see a crazy monster abducting people. Come on, everyone. Me and Flamo will lead the attack. And then they just kind of go at it. And they try and talk to Reed and Ben. And they're like, how the hell do they know us? It's like, oh, this isn't going to be good. Then, of course, Zargor is like, I was wondering when you would show your faces. After already claiming 2 members of the Fantastic Four, it will be trivial for me to claim the remaining 2. There's 4 of us, you big woody jerk. But of course the force field can defend against her ultra-frequency memory-altering waves. And of course they ask her to, like, let the people go, and she's like, nope. And of course then Johnny and Flamo decide to try and, like, blast her, but Reed protects her. It's like, what the hell? And then of course Ben's popping up too. And of course, they're trying to figure out a way to not hurt these people. This is a kind of crazy situation. It's like, alright, they're going to attack us, but we got to make sure we don't hurt them. Of course, Zargor then sends all the people after him. Help your mighty master. Then we get a crazy-ass shot at the end of Reed and Ben kind of leaving the charge with the other people. Now comes the time when you must kill them all. It's like, this is going to be nutty, so... That's where that ends. Continued next month. So this is definitely going to be a problem. That's going to be interesting to see how Sue and Johnny and Alicia solve with this, especially when having to go up against the might of the Thing and the brains of Reed Richards. Even though he's still not in his right mind, we'll have to see how this kind of goes. It's like crazy interesting setup. Let's see how this kind of goes. So I'm definitely excited to see how this works out, and this is definitely an interesting kind of setup. I'm glad that it went with a memory-altering kind of thing that can affect the world, and we haven't retread any kind of ground. Like, it's kind of similar, that could be, to the time thing that was going on with Ben and Alicia, but I do like that it's a different kind of scenario, and I can't wait to see how the 3 of them figure out this situation and what kind of solutions they come up with. So, those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.